Don't be afraid to niche down and say, this is the corner of the market that I'm owning. And because I own this corner of the market, I can charge whatever the hell I want. You don't need to sell 1 million widgets for the average price to the average consumer. You can sell 200 widgets for top dollar to the 200 people each year that demand the best experience ever.
Welcome, everybody, to the Chris Harder Show, where we are making you unapologetic about your pursuit of success, knowing that when good people like you make good money, they can then do great things. My name is Chris Harder, and several times per week, I will bring you epic guests, solo episodes, and every single tool, trick, and skill set you need to grow your business, grow your money mindset, and to grow your wealth to levels that you have never reached before. I've ended up in a unique place in life where I've got the experience, the connections, and all of the secrets that it takes to be successful. And I'm lifting the curtain to reveal it all to you in an effort to help put you in a position of abundance so great that you can then be as generous as possible. So let's lock arms and let's get started.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Chris Harder Show, where today I am grateful. You know what? I'm grateful for the episode I'm about to record for you because I just got done touring the Singer Automotive Design Factory. Now, if you know what Singer is, they take old Porsches and they restore them into better than new Porsches, where every single one of them is over $1 million. A lot of them are like $3 million, right? So they're taking an old car, they're stripping it down to nothing, and they are turning it into a $1, $1.5, $2, $3 million car. It's wild. And I got a private tour of the factory today, and it's awesome. And I had so many business lessons from it that I wanted to share with you today. But before we do that, I actually want to remind you or give you a heads up or say, oh my God, you better run quick, because we have 1 seat left for our mid-October VIP weekend mastermind. Now, here's 2 really cool reasons why you have to be there. Number 1, we host it in our house, and it's 2 straight days of super small group, only 10 businesses total, including yours, working together on each other's businesses while Lori and I lead you through very deep strategy. So you leave with brand new ideas, brand new connections. We turn your business on its head and you're on fire when you leave. I promise you. That's reason number 1 to come. Reason number 2 is we sit down at our at-home podcast studio and we film both video and audio an episode with you and everybody else there. So each one of you gets 15 to 20 minutes, and you've probably heard some of these episodes already, to showcase your story, showcase your business, and best of all, get all of that exposure. Now, for the price of coming to the 2-day mastermind, it would actually cost you more than that to come on both shows and get that kind of exposure. So it's the best bargain on the planet, and there is 1 seat left. So if you want deep strategy, if you want 2 days in our home of us rolling up our sleeves and working on your business, and if you want to be on both podcasts, mine and Lori's, then go grab that last seat by going to chrisharder.me/weekend. That is chrisharder.me/weekend. Okay. So let's get into the episode and the really cool experience I just had. And I kind of feel like I have to give you some background for you to really understand why this is significant and for you to understand the parallel lessons to your business. So Singer Porsches, or Singer Vehicle Designs, as it's technically known as, there are these what we call resto mods. You take an old car, you strip it down to nothing, you build it back up better than new, or at least to new standards. And now you have a shiny, brand new, reliable classic. And a lot of companies out there do this with a lot of different types of cars. Matter of fact, I've got a Bronco where they've done that. They've done my Bronco in a really unique way, right? So it's called vintage Broncos. And they basically buy new chassis and they create custom interiors. You know, when I say new chassis, it's a new chassis, new engine, new everything from Ford. And then they create custom interiors and they put a customized old 1972 shell over the top of the thing. So you've got all the conveniences of new cars and still the appeal of an old classic Bronco. And so the same thing with these Porsches, only they're taking cars that are technically between 1989 and 1993, because it's like the best era for bodies for Porsches. And they're stripping them down to absolutely nothing. And they're building them up, not back to new standards, but to better than new standards. And I mean way better, to the point where Every single one of them sells for $1 million or more, as I'd mentioned. Now, their value, I keep mentioning, they're $1 million or $2 million or $3 million. Their value is simply a reflection of supply and demand. And it's because of their unique combination of craftsmanship. I'm going to explain a little bit like where the craftsmanship comes in and what it has to do with your business. Exclusivity. They're really hard to get one. There's a 36-month waiting list, and it takes 36 months for them to build yours. And improved performance. They take what's already a performance car and they make it faster and better and ride exponentially better as well. So they're literally taking something from one of the world's most renowned factories, right, from Porsche in Germany, and they're making it better. Now, how did I even get this tour? You know how I always talk about proximity matters? Like, also, by the way, this is why you got to come to our mastermind. This is why you got to go to other masterminds. Who you're around matters because those relationships matter. Well, I live in a neighborhood full of really successful people. And one of them is an investment banker at JP Morgan Private Banking. And he said, hey, I know you love cars. I'm taking a lot of my top clients for a private tour at Singer up here in LA. Would you like to come? I'm like, hell yes, I want to come to that. And when I say private tour, nobody is allowed in this factory. Like, they take your phones, they do all the stuff. You're not allowed to document it. There's one little area where they give you your phone. You can take a picture, of this little staged, the one vehicle that they have in there that you can take a picture of, etc. But it's a really, really, really private thing. You can't just go visit this place. And so proximity matters because I had that relationship. I got to have this experience. And when I was there, they took us around and they showed us every single part of the factory. And by the way, not a single robotic arm anywhere in the factory. Everything is done meticulously by hand still. And I mean, the attention to detail by the human eye is absolutely insane. So these cars, as you walk your way through the factory, you realize they are meticulously restored and customized by like best in industry skilled artisans. Now, they don't go out and say, who's a great leather guy? They don't go out and say, who's a great body guy? They don't go out and say, who's a really, really, really good carbon fiber person? Like, they go out and they say, who are the best, most skilled leather artisans from all industries? Who's the best from the marine industry? Who's the best from the fashion industry? Who's the best from the vehicle? And they pulled the best of the best from all of the industries. Now, obviously, it's reflected in the car's price, but you'll see there's a trend here. So the best of the best, perfectionists, they go out and they get them for every aspect of stripping down and rebuilding these cars. And then they go out and they look for the best of the best materials. One of the examples is they will only use leather hides from cows and steers that are raised above a certain altitude in the mountains, because at a certain altitude, ticks can't exist. And so when they're out there grazing in the grass, they don't get ticks because it's too high for the ticks. And therefore, they don't have those little bite marks in their hide. Now, I have never in my life thought about something like that. Like, oh, you're telling me that the more perfect the hide, the more perfect the outcome, which seems obvious when you say it. But I never once thought that people go to the top of mountaintops looking for cows to get hides in order to be able to find a more perfect leather. Now, how you feel about leather or animals or any of that aside, that's not the point. The point is they go to the ends of the earth, literally, to get the materials to make these better than the original Porsche factory could make them. And they do it in such a customized way that if you brought in a ring that had a certain jewel on it, you said, this was my grandma's jewel. I want the outside of the car to be this exact color. They'll match that exact color. Or if you brought in a picture of the sunset, maybe your house overlooks the ocean and you see the same sunset every night. You brought in a picture, you said, I want my interior, I want the hide of the leather, I want everything in here to match this exact gradient sunset. They will match it exactly. So nothing is off limits in terms of what your imagination could come up with from the customization standpoint. And there's a bit of a lesson there. How bespoke are you willing to get for your customers? And a lot of us, like, I'll raise my hand first, a lot of us try and build businesses where we're like, well, it's got to be kind of a one size fits all because, pretty soon you can't get so custom that you're doing such unique things for everyone because there's no way to scale that. Well, you're going to hear in a minute that, yeah, there is a way to scale that if you're willing to charge accordingly. And there's always going to be a market of people that want to pay for that level of greatness. So all of this happens and you're getting this literally brand new, better than new car, yet technically old classic Porsche. And while a lot of companies have tried this, these individuals, the Singer company, are the ones who have gotten the reputation of producing the finest, most unique Porsches in the whole world that the richest of the rich or the pickiest of car collectors want in their collection. Now, how did they get here? How did they get this reputation? And this, again, has a lot to do with your business. How do you want people to talk about you? Where do you want to be positioned in the market? Well, here's how they got here. The company was started by a guy named Rob Dickinson. Now, Rob is an interesting character. I didn't get to meet him today. Someone else gave the tour. But he was the lead singer of a really popular band in the UK. And they told me the band, I'm sure I could look it up. I forgot what it is, but it was a really popular band in the UK. He was the lead singer. And he was your typical artsy, wanted to be different lead singer of a band, as you would expect lead singers of bands to be. Well, as he started to tour in Europe and become more and more popular, then they said, let's go to the United States and tour. That's where the real rock and roll scene is. So they came to the United States. And of course, back then, if you're coming to the United States, you go to Los Angeles because that's where all the record companies were. And they came to Los Angeles and he saw all of these beautiful Porsches. Matter of fact, he saw beautiful Porsches growing up. And then when he got to Los Angeles, he saw all the rich people driving these Porsches around. And he said, now that I'm successful, I want a Porsche. But I don't want any old Porsche because I'm this unique lead singer of a band and I'm an artist and I want my stuff to be different. I want to take a Porsche and I want to make it uniquely mine. And so he did. He customized his Porsche, the body, the interior, everything, to be uniquely, beautifully his. And he found that everywhere he went, people would stop him. Oh my God, why does your Porsche look like this? Oh my God, where'd you get this Porsche? Oh my God, can I buy this from you? And he started to hear this more and more and more. Can I buy this car from you? Can I buy this car from you? And he said, no, this car means the world to me. I'm not going to sell this car, nor do I have to. But he started to see a trend. And finally, when somebody said, can I buy this? I'll give you X number of dollars right now for this car. He said, listen, I won't sell you my car, but I will build you one just like it. And the guy said yes. And so he did. In his garage, the same garage where he built his own Porsche to customize it and make it really cool, he built this guy what is now Singer Porsche. It wasn't Singer back then. Hence Singer. He was a lead singer of a band, if you wonder where the name came from. And more people would say, can I buy your car? He'd say, no, but I'll build you one. So he does this a few times and he realizes, I think I have a business here. And so he formally starts Singer Vehicle Design in 2009. And he starts building these in his garage, meticulously restoring and customizing them for each person's desire. Now, he recognized hey, I think I got a business here and people really love these things and they're willing to pay a lot of money for these. And he realized, I'm selling these old used Porsches just by customizing them for $200,000 to $300,000. Now, this is 2009, so this is 15, 16 years ago. He said, these guys are giving me $300,000 for this old used Porsche that I am customizing and just bringing up, putting new life in. He said, if I could build 5 of these a year, I could have myself a nice $1 million to $1.5 million business doing something that I love. And so that was his first goal, to build 5 of these a year, doing something he loved, feeling the reward of doing something he loved, and building himself a nice little $1 million to $1.5 million business. Well, when you do something well, and I mean when you do something really well, word gets out and 2 things happen. Supply and demand takes over, and you can only build just so many of these things. And so when the demand goes up and the supply can't go up equally, they become more and more and more valuable, right? The next guy says, I'll give you $350 to build mine next. And someone else says, I'll give you $400 to build mine next. And someone says, I'll give you $500,000 if you put mine next in line. And so supply and demand starts causing these to really go up in value because everybody wanted one. And then the second thing that happens as word spreads and reputation gets out, more and more people say, how can we help you build more of these? So I'll spare you the rest of the story, but I'll give you the punchline. Today, in this factory that I was in, they are building 200 of these super expensive, super custom, 7-figure old meets new Porsches at any given time. They're building over 200 of them at any given time. They sell another 150 to 200 of these every single year, putting people on the waiting list. So they're literally saying, okay, man, it's going to be $1.3 million and you're not going to get it for 3 years. Would you still like to give me your money? They say, yep, here you go. Now, if you think that's crazy, I have a friend. I can't say who it is because actually you'll know who his business is. You probably frequent this individual's business that he's a CEO of. But I have a friend, and he was on that 3-year waiting list, and he wanted one so badly that he bought one that hit the market, like secondhand, if you will, if there's such a thing as secondhand when it's already a classic used Porsche, so that he could have one while waiting for his other one on the 3-year waiting list. Like that's how in demand these things are. So now they're selling another 150 to 200 of these a year, adding up the waiting list, making it longer and longer and longer. And the price keeps going up. $1 million, 1.2, 1.3, 1.5, $2 million. Now that people are reselling theirs on Bring a Trailer for $3.5 million for some of the models, which is wild because people want them right now. So what are some of the biggest lessons that you can take from this? Well, I mentioned a few of them, but I think one of the biggest ones that stands out is that passion drives success. If you are really passionate about doing something right, as we go through the factory, everything had to be better than perfect, better than perfect, better than perfect. Give you an example. You probably don't know what gaps are, but gaps are the gaps in between the door sill. Like when you close the door, you see that little gap around it. Or when you close the hood, the little gap that outlines it, or the trunk, the gap that outlines it. So the mark of a good restoration is quote unquote perfect gaps. Now, these are old cars, so nobody has perfect gaps except Singer does. Because when they strip these down to absolutely nothing and start to put them back together, they actually stretch out the sheet metal and they custom build the sheet metal so that when they put it back together, there's more metal than needed so that they can shave down and have perfect 4-centimeter gaps everywhere. There's nowhere on that car that won't have a perfect 4-centimeter gap. The top of the gap, the bottom of the gap, the middle of it, doesn't matter. The hood, the trunk, the doors, doesn't matter. And so it's that attention to detail, the passion of perfection, as they talk about it there, that drives success. They're so passionate about perfection that people would see these and they'd say, can I buy one? I'll give you more money than the next guy for one. And so does your business have that passion for perfection in order to make people say, that experience was so good, can I come to the next mastermind? That experience was so good, can I have your next course? That experience was so good, can I come to your class next? Or is it just pretty good? There's nothing wrong with pretty good. There's plenty of customers that'll buy pretty good, but people aren't going to line up for a 3-year waiting list and keep offering you more and more and more and more money for pretty good. They're only going to do that if you have the passion for perfection. I think another great lesson to pull out of here is quality over quantity. Remember, he started saying, gosh, if I could just build 5 of these things, I'd have myself a nice little $1.5 million a year business. Well, do the math. These things are well over $1 million a piece, and they're manufacturing over 200 of them a year now. So we're talking about a $200 to $300 million per year business. Something that started as 5 cars for $1.5 million was the goal, is now a $200 to $300 million per year business with a 3-year waiting list. That's not high quantity. That's still incredibly low quantity in the car business. That's still super high exclusivity in the car business. And what takes so long to build these, give you another example. When I say quality over quantity, just the part of the process where they've stripped it down to sheet metal and repaired any imperfections in the sheet metal and they start to put it back together and they get it prepped for paint. From the time that they start prepping it for paint, and I won't describe to you the process because it'd bore you in the podcast, but picture sand it down, check it again, sand it down, check it again, sand it down, check it again. From the time that they prep it for paint to the time that they paint it is a 9-month freaking process. Paint it again, sand it down, paint it again, sand it down, 3,000 grit sandpaper in the interior corners that no one will ever look at. Do it again. A 9-month process on average to prep it for paint and get it painted. That is wild. And so quality over quantity is a great business model. You will always be paid well for quality over quantity. You don't need to sell 1 million widgets for the average price to the average consumer. You can sell 200 widgets for top dollar to the 200 people each year that demand the best experience ever. I think another lesson to pull out of this is don't be afraid to niche. Listen, this guy said, I'm only going to do Porsches from this year to this year because I think they have the best body for me to work with. And I'm only going to do this many a year, and I'm only going to do them at this standard. He didn't say, yeah, I'll also do older Porsches of this body, the classic 356 bathtubs that are really popular and really valuable. He could very easily, based on skill set in the factory, go and start doing those, but nope. They will never, ever, ever, ever start making any other body other than the specific 1989 to 1993 body that they do right now. And so don't be afraid to niche down and say, this is the corner of the market that I'm owning. And because I own this corner of the market, I can charge whatever the hell I want. And I think the last big thing is that the value is in your reputation. You've never seen a Singer Porsche ad in your life. Hell, you probably haven't even heard of them until this podcast, unless you're a car enthusiast. They're not out there advertising. They're not marketing. They're not running Facebook ads. They're not doing anything to be seen. Their reputation goes viral on its own. And the value, why are people paying $1 million, $2 million, $3 million for these cars? The value is because of the reputation. The best car, the best Porsche on the planet comes from Singer. And so if you're the kind of individual that wants the best of something, then that's where you're going to go to get it. The value is in your reputation. So what do you do to build up and protect your reputation? Do you cut a corner when you're tired? Because they don't. Do you sometimes maybe discount it for this person, but not for the next people? Because they don't. Matter of fact, they were talking about how when people bring these old bodies to be, hey, restore mine next, they reject over 90% of them. Sorry, can't do it, has an imperfection. Sorry, can't do it, has an imperfection. Now remember, they're stripping them down to nothing to fix any imperfections, but they're saying, nope, that frame's a tiny bit bent. Nope, this thing's a little too rusted. We won't even fix that imperfection. So the value is in your reputation, but what are you doing to keep your reputation up and to build it up? I could go on and on. Another lesson comes to mind, like it's okay to start small. It doesn't mean it won't end up huge. Same thing with, I could keep pulling metaphor after metaphor after metaphor out of this. But the main point is this. If you do something that you are passionate about, and if you do it to your best ability, and if you don't cut corners even on the days that you want to, you will never, ever starve for another high-paying customer again. And if you don't have them lining up, then you got to kind of check yourself a little bit and say, okay, objectively, am I showing up to produce a product the way that Singer shows up to produce a Singer Porsche? I hope you guys enjoyed the story. It was such an awesome tour. I hope that you get opportunities like this as well. I'm starting to get just so many cool opportunities in my life, and I'm just so grateful for all of them. And I really hope that you take the opportunity to come to our home in a couple of weeks in October, grab that very last seat. Let us strategize on your business, like really hands-on for 2 days straight. Have some great meals together. And best of all, showcase you and your story, just like this story, on both of our podcasts. If you want that, go grab that last seat at chrisharder.me/weekend. That's chrisharder.me.me/weekend. Thanks for listening. Love and appreciate you.
Thanks for listening. And if you loved this episode and know of someone else who is as successful as they are generous, please pass them on to me. It would mean the world to me if you help me get this cause and this message out to as many listeners as I can. So please, if you liked what you heard, it goes a long way if you take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review and share this with your friends. I'll be forever grateful. And until the next episode, cheers to your success.